Okay, we're back in session. Okay, we got a motion on the floor to untable by Mike,
Second.
second by Betsy. And this is 157 Shorewood Drive, East Falmouth, Mass. For permission to, and I already read it, so.
Thank you.
Good evening, Jack.
Good evening, everyone. I'll try to be brief but thorough at the same time. For the record, my name is Jack Landers-Collier. I'm a civil engineer in private practice. With me this evening is Mr. and Mrs. Federico and their counsel. To begin with, the plans you have are correct, but we made a couple changes, and I'd like you to open your plans, and I'll note them. The first is
Which plan, Jack? Your plan?
the
or
landscape plan. They're
or the
kind of both
landscape-
mine. We have a 11 by 17 plan, which is too hard to read, so we took most of the elements of that 11 by 17 and blew it up to 10 scale to overlay on the landscaping plan. The 11 by 17 plan is basically for the purposes of the Title V design, because part of this project requires the elimination of the existing Title V system, which we think is in the groundwater, and the replacement of a new Title V compliant system that will comply with the vertical separation to the groundwater. So other than the locus map and the limit of work, everything else on that 11 by 17 and then some is on this plan.
Nope, your Conservation Commission buffer area notes are not.
I put it on this plan for pictorial purposes. It is on the 11 by 17. I had a
Use your
little
words
problem.
carefully,
I had to
Jack.
grapple with the fact that there's so many details on the small one. I didn't quite know how to present it, so I decided we would take the landscape plan and we'd add certain key elements. For example, highlighted in yellow is the existing footprint of the house. On the plan is an edge of wetlands, a salt marsh, and I have to note that what happened is when we originally did the design for someone else for the Title V upgrade, I told the survey crew basically to go to the first edge of the wetlands. They did, and they showed, based on the GIS maps, where the rest of the wetlands are. Then it occurred to me when the Federicos authorized me to do Phase 2, that wasn't located, and so they did locate it. They did locate the salt marsh, because any of those commissioners that went out there, you would have seen that there's a pan salt marsh right here surrounded by a woody shrub layer of wetlands in the remaining areas. What we did show is this line right here, which is the edge of the end of the grass and the beginning of the wetlands. And I understand that you would like the data sheet. We'd be happy to provide it. And we will do so for all future applications. To put your mind at rest, I did bring some photographs, and for those people who have been on the site, I think it's pretty easy to tell that we have a fully cultivated lawn in the backyard that literally drops down and ends in a very sharp demarcation to the wetlands. I brought some pictures so you can see that demarcation if there's any doubts in your mind. From that, we also located the top of the bank, the 100-foot buffer from the edge of the salt marsh, which is shown on the 11 by 17, but not the landscape, and the 100-foot buffer from the top of the bank. The critical area being in here, because we are within 100 feet of a salt marsh. In addition to the proposed construction of the house, we have a deck. We're also going to take the shed that in our original proposal we showed over here, but the clients would prefer it over here. The other point I wanted to bring up is when reviewing the plan, I noticed we didn't have dry wells, so we added 2 dry wells here. And we do have additional plans that will be submitted with a revised date of yesterday. The third point, I told you about the salt marsh. The fourth being this walkway. This is going to be a pervious walkway. And the last is, we didn't put a note that this is all lawn, but if you were to walk the property, you would know that basically everything from the front face of the existing house seaward is all lawn. Having said that, what we did is we met with the Federicos and with their architect, and they came up with a design. That's highlighted in brown here. Knowing the requirements of the commission, we noted the Conservation Commission buffer areas, and we have depicted to the closest square foot the existing structures in the A zone, existing structures in the B zone, existing pavement in the A zone, existing B pavement in the B zone, or B buffer. And it keeps going down to proposed, then it goes to proposed. I think if you compare them, you'll see that they're remarkably similar. We also have existing coverage by pavement, structures, deck down here, which, if you look, you'll see that same consistency. Because of the concern of the commission and the protection of the resource areas, we knew that landscaping would be an integral component of this plan. And that's why we had the plan prepared at 10 scale and retained a landscaper to design it. So what we have done is we've highlighted those areas that have to be landscaped. They are immediately upland of the grass of the wetland. I actually requested that he keep a 1-foot vertical rise between the edge of the wetlands and the beginning of the plants. The reason being is if we ever get a higher flood stage, I didn't want maybe any plants that had less salt water tolerance be killed. So he kept it a foot higher. However, we also kept it directly next to the wetland buffer areas. He does show, excuse me, he does show additional planting here only because he felt compelled to give the clients a full landscape plan. This planting area is not, none of that is in the required planting area in the backyard. This just happens to be to complete the landscaping design for the property. We think it complies with your local regulations. The house is no closer, the house and deck is no closer than the existing house, not deck. There isn't an increase in the A buffer. We are proposing to landscape 2,000 square feet in the A buffer. The septic system is proposed to be Title V compliant. Again, if you look by 11 by 17, it's over in this area. So it has both greater horizontal and vertical separation. And like I said, I believe it is compliant with your rules and regulations. If you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thanks, Jack. Jen?
Okay, a couple of issues. One, Jack, I don't have dry wells on either of these plans, so can you show me where they are?
To explain, when I was critiquing the plan last night, I realized they weren't on there, so I added them on this plan. We show a revised date. If the board approves it, we will submit it with that revised date. There are basically 4 changes. The dry wells were added. The shed was moved. The bulkhead that's shown on the plans you have was removed because the Federicos didn't need it. So we wanted to reduce the amount of vaulted area in the A buffer, which is the adjustment is shown on this plan. That's a net reduction of 30 square feet, or by your calculation, 90 square feet of planting area. And the walkway, we did not define as being pervious, but it is pervious. I wanted to state that. So the substance, the essence of the plan is the same. I just happened to tweak it when I was looking at it yesterday because I felt those questions would come up today. So I hope that isn't problematic, but I do know you require dry wells. do know
Well, it's
you
gonna
want to...
become problematic because you changed the calculations and didn't give the staff, no matter how small they were, the chance to review those calculations.
I
Okay.
agree with you. Since it was a
Okay,
net reduction, if you can accept the calculations we have...
As I told Mr. Bird,
Okay.
zip right now. Okay, I'm gonna go through my list, Jack, all right? First of all, I did meet with the Federicos prior to them purchasing this property to talk about the dock. They were well aware there was a determination for the dock, but the determination required a notice of intent to be filed for the walkway over the salt marsh. That was never done. Why was that requirement not wrapped up in this notice of intent, just to make everything cleaner?
2 reasons. We're proposing to come before the board to repair the dock, and at that time, I was going to address it at that time. That's the first reason. The second reason, it's not an engineering one,
But you're
but
proposing
I
to.
actually went down to the building department and got a copy of the building permit for the walkway. So I think implicitly, whoever built the walkway did go through the protocol. I can't prove it, but they did pull a permit for the first 40 feet of the dock. I'm not using that as an excuse.
Have you seen the
We-
permit? You know what the permit says right on top of it? Notice of intent required by Conservation Commission.
No,
It's
I'm
written
talk-
on the building permit application.
I'm not aware of that. All I know is they got a building permit for the first 40 feet. But to address that, we are coming back for the rebuilding of the dock, and we will address all the dock issues at that time.
Then why are we rebuilding the stairs?
It's in this.
No, only right here. I'm showing a proposed walkway. There's no
You're showing
rebuilding.
on this little plan that I have that you're rebuilding the stairs.
No rebuilding of the stairs are proposed at this time.
So that's yet another change
No,
to
it's
the
just the
plans that
walkway is
staff
be-
has not been able to review. Okay, moving on. Jack, you put me in this position, you know I don't like being put in this position. So, we have all that, okay. So that is done. You don't have an A-zone to the top of your coastal bank on either of your plans, Jack. You're gonna have to put your setbacks on this plan. So your
A-zone.
setbacks are missing from the landscape plan as well.
The 11 by 17 plants have the A and B buffers.
They have the A buffer to the salt marsh, they have the B
B
buffer
buffer
to the
top
top
of
of
bank.
the coastal bank.
Right.
They lack the A buffer to the top of the coastal bank. I'm gonna bring this up before they do, Jack, okay? Because I know which ones of,
Maybe I'm
which
missing
one of them are
something.
gonna bring up which of these issues.
Maybe I'm missing something, but the A
It's
buffer to the bank
redundant.
would
It's
be
a-
over
Yes, it
here.
is absolutely redundant,
Oh,
but
okay,
you know
okay,
them. They
okay,
like all their i's dotted and t's crossed. I thought we were
Okay.
learning that lesson through this
Oh.
evening. I know,
Oh, no, it
We'll have
does.
to watch it again on
I
TV.
know. I'm gonna just
We had a
relive
lot of
this whole
lessons
night.
today.
Okay. And the number of trees being removed, Jack, I think there was gonna be a question on that from this board, like the 24-inch oak, the
In the A
10-inch
buffer.
Yeah,
pine, and the A
I believe
buffer.
there's 2 trees being removed.
Yep, okay, so
Um,
that needs to be reflected again on your landscape plan, you just have a mark, you don't have them to be removed. If this is gonna be your plan of reference, Jack, then,
I have no problem
Okay.
making those minor
okay,
modifications.
now we get to the big one, and I think I understand why Mr. Clara is here. In our aerial photographs, the deck on the existing house shows up in, I think it's the 2005 areas, it appears. Unless you can provide some evidence that that deck was properly permitted, it cannot be used in the calculations for the mitigation. Okay?
Calculations, litigation.
So,
Okay,
you see what I'm saying?
yes, I do.
So,
And I,
so if you guys have evidence to
I-
show me that that's been properly permitted or whatever, we can take that evidence in and I can look at it, but right now, the staff says that the deck's not properly permitted, we can't use it as part of your mitigation calendar.
right, I know we can go back to 1991 with the deck. That much we can go back. I don't think that's your 1978 date, though.
Can you go back to 1991 and
Ne-
definitively tell me in this aerial that the deck is there? Because myself and Mr. Chairman both looked at it, and we can't definitively
Okay.
say that's a deck, and we can't definitively say it's not. So
I will check my
you're gonna have to give
records.
me a little bit more evidence than this, because we also can't find a building permit for it. So I would start with the building
What?
department.
Okay, I can tell you this
Since you found one
much.
for the little walkway, I'm
Okay, I
sure
can
you
tell,
can find
I
one
can
for
tell
the
you this
deck.
much. I could not find a building permit for the deck either.
Okay,
I thought the conversation about the deck would come up.
Yep.
And that's one of the reasons why we proposed the mitigation, because there's no net increase in the A buffer for the house. The net increase is because of the deck. And that's why we showed 2,000 square feet. The deck
Okay.
is about 650 square feet.
So let me ask you a question. I want you to go back, I want you to do your calculations, unless you can give me evidence, and prove to me on your little calculation sheet there that the mitigation that you required, which is good, although I have issues with some of the plantings, particularly bearberry and Virginia creeper, that is enough mitigation to offset the deck. Okay? Can you do that?
I think so.
I think you can. Now, your landscape plan, we're gonna have to get rid of the bearberry, we're gonna have to get rid of the Virginia creeper, and we'll have to switch out, we can keep the Rose of Carolina. So, and nope, the hay, how many hay-scented fern? Hay-scented fern. If we're gonna be using that as mitigation, because we're not gonna be using the deck, then the hay-scented fern has to go too, so you'll be beefing those up. And I have one other question, and it's absolutely has no relation to this
Job?
project.
Oh,
The address on the landscape plan,
right.
is that
49 Nestor Road?
Mr. Rutherford's address?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if it was your
And
address.
I
You live in
actually
Plymouth,
asked him
right?
about the Virginia creeper. I'm sorry, you, what did you say?
I said, I thought you lived in Plymouth, and I was gonna say, I grew up the road.
No,
after this
Ed
one.
lives there. I asked him about the Virginia creeper.
Yeah.
The explanation he gave is, he said, that's not the dominant plant, that helps fill it out. I don't know if that makes sense, I'm not a landscape designer.
No, I get what he's trying to go
So I think he was trying to
but-
give you a full look,
No,
is
and
what
I
he was trying to do.
understand.
But
I
we have no
understand.
problem, he's already got built into his budget,
Okay.
making tweaking of
Okay.
the landscaping, so.
Good. Okay, so what I have down is on the landscape plan, we're gonna have to put the dry wells. You said it's a pervious walkway. We're gonna have to identify the trees being removed. We're gonna have to put the setbacks on that landscape plan. We're gonna have to identify that that's a pervious walkway. And we're gonna have to modify the plans, and we're gonna have to redo the calculations, assuming that you think you have enough mitigation there to offset that deck.
That is what I'm telling you.
Correct?
That is correct.
Excellent. I need to see all that on a plan so I can review
Okay.
it.
It's hard reading, but it is there.
Well, it's really hard for me to read it from way over here.
Yeah, no, this part is on the small plan, and that's the problem I had. How much information do we put on one plan and not the other?
And then
I
we're
thought-
missing some, so
But
we just
I-
need to consolidate your plan.
I will be more
Okay.
definitive about that.
Okay, I think that's good, and then that way I'll be able to review it in relation to the deck, and I can make a recommendation to
Okay.
this board. That would be great. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Jamie?
So we're looking at a continuance, or we,
Oh, yes.
I'm just being picky. You're demolishing a house and you're rebuilding a new house. You don't rebuild a new house.
Okay,
Moving on.
okay, well, yeah, you're right, we're building a new house.
Jamie's the new Mary.
I just want to clarify that I heard, or confirm that I heard this correctly. The thing about the stairs to be rebuilt, that's not supposed to be this project.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
right,
and that's
it's the
going
next
away.
on there.
All right.
That's what you get
And,
into.
I think, I don't really have anything other than what Jen has already covered, except for just a comment in the front yard where I realize we don't have any sway over this, but I I will just say, I don't think English ivy is a great choice.
It's gonna all be ripped up with the septic.
Well, I'll send that message to Ed.
Okay.
The septic system's there, that's why we chose English ivy, so they could access the manholes. But that's, I will tell them
There's
that.
other ground
Okay.
cover.
Cassandra's, I don't.
Yeah,
Bearberry.
I'd even give you Bearberry in that
Bearberry,
location.
yeah.
okay, well, I'll tell them that.
Okay, thank you.
Move the
You're
Bearberry over there, get rid of the ivy.
Betsy,
So,
I think this looks like a nice house. I would like it shifted over a few feet so that the two trees you're taking down are in the A buffer zone to the salt marsh. And one of them is a 24-foot oak.
Yeah.
And by the way, I called Jen when I was out there. Unless I missed it, I didn't see the 100-foot
No,
buffer to the salt marsh marked.
I didn't
It-
see any of the buffers
I didn't
marked,
see any
not a
of the
single
buffers
one.
or any of the resources.
Steve who works me, I brought him in because I got the call from Jen, and he says, "You're wrong, they're out there." And so I thought, maybe some kid pulled them.
Did anybody see him?
You
You
did?
saw?
when did you
When
see
you
it?
saw
Yeah,
the
he even
100
color-coded
salt
it.
marsh?
He had blue, orange, and red, I think is the three
No,
colors.
did you see 100-foot from the salt marsh?
Yes. Stay through that,
All
on
right,
Monday.
I
right.
was out there Monday.
I went
too.
Tuesday.
I went Tuesday, and we didn't see him.
I went today.
Jamie,
I
did
didn't
you see him on Monday?
Yeah.
I was there on Monday, and they
Yes,
were
they were
there.
there on
Yeah,
Monday,
I
but
know
they
you
weren't
were
there
there
on.
on Monday, because I talked to you on your way there.
Yes,
Yeah.
But nevertheless, you're really not supposed to remove vegetation
Yeah.
from the A buffer. And those are, especially the oak, it's a big, beautiful oak.
Is there any way, Jack, when you go to tweak your plan, you can look at the location and, because the thing is you're gonna have to shift that house quite a bit
you gotta run
to
it
get it out
down.
of the drip line and everything,
That- That's part of the problem.
I
The
mean, Betsy,
tree-
that's not shifting it 5 feet, that's shifting it a lot.
That's shifting it all of maybe 18
Yeah.
feet.
It's
and
putting it
that-
almost back in the
I
old
saw
footprint of the
that,
old house.
we all commented about that, but it was, actually, the decision I made is either the house belongs there or it doesn't, and I felt the house belongs there. That's a decision only the Federicos can make, but I'll send that, they're here, they heard the message.
Because
Do you have,
that pine tree.
wait a
too.
minute, Jack, what is your landscape plan, a 1 to 10, 1 to 10?
It's
Do
a
you
one-
have
it's
room to
1 to
shift?
10.
What's your sideline setback and zoning? 10, thank you.
And the other thing.
So even
Jack,
if you shifted it, yeah, you could shift it enough to do that, except
No, the garage.
the garage
Yes,
is there.
We have a problem, because
you
the
have to
existing
shift-
garage
you
they
have
want to
shift
keep.
it forward a little bit.
And what happens is when we push the house upland, we run into the garage if we shift it the direction you're telling.
So we have to shift it back towards the
Shift it
resource
towards the
area.
resource, but there's already a house there.
Yeah,
It's not making that much
and you're only
difference. and
shifting
you're
into a
saving
lawn,
tree.
a
You're shi-
24-inch
You're
oak.
shifting it into the lawn. I'd see if you can shift the
I-
whole thing over, move it 5 feet forward and 20 feet or 25 feet to the,
That's
whatever.
if the deck is legal.
To the south.
Well,
west.
that's something that has to be determined.
So now we're in the determination of, they could shift it if the deck's not properly permitted to where the existing house is and not the deck. So that only gives them,
The other thing, Jack, is do you have a tree for every 1,000 square feet of mitigation?
7 feet.
We have shad bush, not a tree, but it's a shrub, tall shrub.
They have no trees.
No.
I mean, we can show,
Calling it a tall shrub, Jack, is not helping the
a
case.
tall shrub is not a tree, I know that.
All right,
You need trees.
not at 10:30 at night after the hearings we've heard tonight.
That's a conversation I have to have with the Federicos. Everything you've discussed
Wait a
is a
second. This is
conversation.
in the.
It's
this is
required.
It's in the regulations.
No, but which approach to take? I mean, moving the house
Oh.
and
Which would change the mitigation.
those are all embodied in the same basic issue.
Okay.
I understand that. And I knew there'd be questions. I just didn't know they'd focus so much on the tree, to be honest with you. Anything else?
You all set, Betsy?
Yes.
Okay, Mike.
Benchmark and datum. If we're gonna be coming into that
Okay,
stock,
yep,
at some point, we're gonna wanna know it.
yeah.
All done.
Maury,
The only question I had, Jen, or maybe Jack, you can answer this. Are you counting the plantings around the house as mitigation planting?
That's
Only on
not
the
allowed.
seaward side, not on the upland side.
No, you're talking about the coastal bank, and if you're
The
counting.
stuff
I'm
on the
talking
deck.
about everything from this face that way is
Okay,
counted.
Ja-
From this face
Ja-
that way, none of it's counted.
Jack, you can't count the ones next to the little deck, because you can't put mitigation plantings within 10 feet of the structure. It's written in the regulations, just like it's written that you have to give them a tall tree for every 1,000 square feet and not a tall shrub.
I think the intent, I hear what you're saying. The intent was to screen some of this.
Oh, you
and
can
I think
screen
the
it, you
10-foot
can
mitigation.
absolutely
You can
screen
still
it.
Just
count
doesn't,
that.
But you
just doesn't
can't
count as
count it.
mitigation.
Fine.
You can
Consider
leave it,
it
just
done.
can't count it. Thank you, that's all.
all right, Kristen,
I have no other questions.
Courtney,
Yeah, because Courtney wants to get out of here.
No, but it sounds like you're asking for a continuance?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think the major focus is the landscaping and the house placement. Is that a correct assessment?
Jack,
Landscaping,
Jack, dry
The
well,
adequacy of
pervious,
mitigation.
boy, buffers on, buffer
Yeah.
notes on the plan, setbacks on the plan, stairs to not be rebuilt on the plans, and then look to saving those 2 trees, and no, you cannot use mitigation plantings along the proposed deck as part of mitigation, although feel free to put some foundation plantings in there, all you'd like.
And didn't you want to change up some of the plants?
Oh, yeah, and we're changing some of the plants. You can use bearberry in the front where he's got his ivy, because that's not a good plant to put there. Get rid of the hay-scented fern and the Virginia creeper.
I kind of thought those would be questionable anyways, but I gave you my explanation of what Ed said.
No, I know, and I
Okay.
understand what he means,
So
but he can put jute matting down to anchor
Okay.
and everything.
Okay.
Okay.
So what's the date for continuance?
Do you have comments? Okay, so I understand what you said, Jen.
Okay.
I guess the only question is when it's going to be heard. And thinking about it, because I had a lot of time to think about it when I was sitting at the other meeting, is
How was
we
sandwich
fully
this
intend
evening?
to file for the dock rebuilding, and I'd like to piggyback them on the same night if possible. Hear this first, clear up these issues, and then hopefully put closure on it, and then
Okay, when do you propose to come in for your dock?
well, we had to call and find out when our allowed filing times are. I don't know, so I'm thinking the 10th, because I don't think we can
10th of-
file
10th
before,
of
I don't
March.
think we can get before March 3rd, so.
10th of March?
It's the 9th of March.
Is it the 9th?
No, it's the
It's the
10th.
Third
Is it
must
the
be the
10th?
10th.
I don't have a calendar, I thought it
It's
was
the
the 10th.
9th.
Is it the
Sorry,
9th?
I was looking at the wrong month. So March 9th,
Thursday.
Jack, you would have to file on the 17th. 1, 2, 3. If you wanted March 9th, you would have to file
The
the
other choice
dock
is
on the
March.
17th.
Yeah, the other is March 2nd, which would mean we'd have to file on the 10th.
Correct. No, yes. Which means you'd have to file the dock next week. And let me ask you a question. Do you have the benchmark and the datum that Mr. Powers is gonna want
Yeah.
for the dock? The
Yeah, I
correct
think
one
that's on
on
the
the
first
plan?
plan, actually. I think it's on the 11 by 17, because that's NAV 88. But the bathymetry on me, will be on me and Lawada Down.
Where is it on this plan, Jack?
It's not.
It's not, Jack. Are
Give me
you
the date,
sure you
Jack.
have it?
The normal benchmark is on the house, because normally we don't knock the house down. We will transfer it to a concrete bound. That's what we'll do.
And you can do that by the
I'm
10th.
sorry.
Do we have a date? I'll
Hang
make a
on,
motion
wait,
if you
hang
give me
on
the
one
date.
second.
Oh.
I have one more thing I need to check. All right, Jack, give me a date. Which one
March
do you
9th.
want?
March 9th, did
At the
you say?
request of the applicant, I move to
Okay.
continue this to March 9th.
Second.
any other comments or questions from the commission? Comments, questions from the public? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote to continue to March 9th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Was somebody taking notes? Put all this on a plan.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Is this a
Thank
new
you,
house?
Jack. How was
Is
Sandwich?
this a new house for them?
Yes, it is.
For the, well, good luck. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
site, and this seems complex right now, but we'll all get through it.
Mr. Chairman,
All right, Courtney's
Thank you.
recusing himself, so I'm releasing him. And we don't need him for any of the quorums for the orders that are coming
We're
up?
not
not
voting
doing 'em.
those tonight.
Good.
No, go ahead.
We're on such a roll.
He recused himself.
Yeah.
It's gonna hit you from there.
Let me put it this way, Mike, the applicants do not want you to vote the orders of conditions this evening.
I bet you they don't.
We're not doing it?
No, we're not.
Wonderful.
Okay, next up is Courtney Bird, 43 Sipwisset Road, West Falmouth, Mass. This has been read into the record, and Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I will save all of my comments or questions until after Mr. Bunker's presentation.
Good evening again, Tom.
Oh, we do have to
Oh, I make a
untable it.
motion on table,
Second.
43 Sipwisset Road.
Second.
Thank you. So we have a
Nice
motion
job,
and a
Susan.
second to untable 43 Sipwisset Road. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
Thank you for the recommendation, Tom Bunker. I can't talk that fast.
You're still Tom Bunker?
I'm still Tom Bunker.
You're really, Tom?
At quarter of 11, I'm still Tom Bunker.
Yeah.
I prepared this plan for Courtney Bird, 43 Sipwisset Road, at the head of Little Sipwisset Marsh, which is a velocity zone, VE elevation 17, this location. There's a bit of A zone, elevation 15, that comes up after around the 15-foot contour, and then zone X above that. A bit of a slope in there on the velocity and the A zones, greater than 10 to 1, greater than 4 to 1 in some of the places. So the top of the coastal bank comes up basically to where the slope breaks at the edge of the lawn, right here, and then it
What am
climbs
I
up
looking at?
the ways, and then
Got it.
drops back down to just following the 15-foot contour. So I have on here marked the A zones and the B zones of various resource areas. So also is the salt marsh, and then there's a freshwater cattail, little stand of cattails down in there, also a freshwater wetland. This project is divided into, do it by 3 walls. How they're described here, in the order they're described here anyway. The oldest of the walls, wall 2 is a block wall, and was built over to this. That was wall 3 is around, 1972. The wall down here, which was not basically the walkout level of the house, is a newer wall, more in the mid-70s. They're all old, somewhat failing, leaning a bit, and Courtney would like to replace them. It's a bit of an undertaking here to do this. He's talked with Hamilton, who will be doing the work, using the Keystone retaining wall system, which is a modular block wall with pins holding it together. There's some details on the second page, and over a certain height, they need the geogrid reinforcing built back into the land behind it. So on both of these pages, there's a hatching behind the walls that shows the geogrid. Construction access will be from Loop Road. As you described in here, the materials were brought in by Bobcat. Bobcat can dig out, starting with wall 1. You've got to dig out a level area that's it's 6-foot grid. Includes about 18 inches in the block itself, so it's about 4.5 feet back from the block, or 6 feet from the, a little more than 6 feet from the face of the block back to where the back of the grid will go. So they'll have to dig down to that bottom level, a level terrace, basically 6 feet back toward the house, and build in a compacted base of crushed stone and start laying the block, 3 courses of block. The entire place doesn't have to be dug down to that bottom course, because it's just where the wall is going, and a little more has to be dug down that deep. And then 3 courses of block and some geogrid laid back to 6 feet, and then back 3 more courses of block as it being backfilled and compacted, and more geogrid and filled up from there. And you'll have well-drained material underneath and directly behind the block so any water will go down there and not cause any failure of the wall to push out water surcharge. In this case, on the wall 1, because of the vegetation that's on that bank, we are not proposing any straw bales or anything. Basically, when they get in, this is a 1-week project, I believe. Yeah. And the excavation can take 1 to 2 days, and it'll be timed, and there's no bad weather forecast. Once that trench is dug down, it'll be dug out about a foot or 2 seaward of where the face of the wall will go. Once it's dug down to below, there'll be a berm. If there's any water that comes in there, it will, well, it's supposed to not rain while we're doing this, but if it were, any water will just sit down the bottom of that trench and not go over. We feel that putting in the straw bales or the other, the silt sock or digging in silt fence would cause more damage to the root system of all the vegetation that's there, which is what we want to keep that root system alive and intact so it can regrow quickly and hold the soil when it's done. So that wall will be the wall 1, be built up first and then built up back to the level of the lawn now. Right now it's slumped a little bit behind the wall, and so that will be filled. So it'll be perhaps right adjacent behind the wall, but a little higher than the grass is now. But there's basically no regrading being done in this location. When that is filled up, loam, seeded, it'll be protected, and then they'll start on wall 2 and wall 3, and that work will be done from the bottom side, this walkout level, and just pulled down from the top and carted out through this access path. The walls will be built the same way, except not so much excavation. They don't have to go deep below the soil. The wall next to the house, again, because of its height, it's 5 feet in one location against the house, so that also will require the geogrid. And the steps themselves will remain. The wall will just be built up adjacent to the steps, and then hop over to do wall 3, which does not require any geogrid. There's the walls be as much as practical the same, a little bit straightened out, but the same location for the walls. There's no increase in impervious surface. There's no need for mitigation planting. I will note on wall 1 there's a boulder next to 26-inch oak. The work is going to end at that boulder. Going to fit that wall in up against that boulder as well as possible. And there's a little bit of rock wall between that boulder and the oak, and that'll be repointed a little bit, and maybe a couple stones added to bring it up level with the rest of the wall. But there'll be no equipment work around that tree. So when done, there's one cedar tree that's right in the corner of the house in wall number 2, which will have to be removed. The cedar tree will be replaced more or less in that same location. Shrubs will be planted, woody shrubs, not necessarily native, but woody shrubs will be planted at the top of wall 2 when that is done. because there are shrubs there now. I think they're yews, perhaps, or junipers. But it might be juniper or even a yews back there again.
It will
But
be
some-
native.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
It will be native.
It will be. It doesn't need to be. It's not required mitigation planting. But
We will work
that'll be up
with the
to,
applicant.
that will be up to, working with the applicant, that's right. But we need shrubs up there at the top of that wall.
Yeah, you do.
So that nobody will be there and fall over. That is that's the wall work. Take questions.
Jen?
Tom, you don't have the 25-foot offset to the V-zone on your plan, so I'm gonna need a revised plan, unless you can point it out to me and I don't see it.
That's what I just wrote down too.
Yeah.
That I can do. I have a scale and a pen.
thank you.
Draw it on.
No, you can submit a revised plan with the 25-foot offset. Do you see it?
No, you're right. It's not there.
Oh, Kristen's pointing at something.
But
What?
maybe
Let me
that's not it, not what you're asking for.
No, I'm talking about the 25-foot offset to this right here.
Oh, okay.
His velocity zone line, his
Okay.
V-zone line.
Yeah.
I need that. I did talk to him about putting maybe common juniper up there or some type of juniper up there. Your mitigation planting over down there is gonna be the, high bush. That's
Oh, and there, yeah.
fine, yeah.
Yeah.
And
The coop.
that's fine.
Yep.
I mean, that wall does need to replace, and there's no way you can save the cedar at the corner of that house. No way. That's it.
Kristen?
I have no questions.
Maury?
The only question I had was the limit of work, and I understand the concern of killing the vegetation by leaving it there, but maybe if nothing, just stakes saying limit of work, so the guys don't start throwing stuff over, because they are gonna be digging and excavating. And I would require that they have to have a silt sock on site, in case you do get one of those pop-up rains.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
at least if it's there, you can, stake it in.
Yeah, the limit of work will be staked. And certainly can be flagged with limit of work and all.
Yeah,
that.
it could just have caution tape, just so they
Yeah.
don't go beyond it, but I do think we're gonna condition that you have a sock there and they can move it around, so that's it, thank you.
Mike?
The wall looks fine to me. I like it in a number of ways. Normally, if you're building a stone wall in there, you may filling, but that's been cemented, concreted, you're replacing it in kind, and it needs to be done.
Yeah.
The chicken coop. When was the chicken coop built?
Just, so I recall, I think it was just like a year ago, last summer, maybe.
Was there filling required to create?
No,
It's sitting on a natural, no, I don't want to say natural, it's been filled at some point, but it's sitting on a plateau. Was there any fill brought in to?
Not for this, he said, it's that plateau or level area, and I hadn't been out there to investigate that, but it does continue as though it had been an old road or something going down. So he chose that location because
If
it
you
was
look
flat.
at to the south, that topography comes up pretty
Quick.
quick. It's a flat.
Mhm.
And so that was a year ago when the chicken coop was built, it was that same kind of flat area, as we understand.
He said it was that already, that's why he chose it there, to just put that in. There was invasive vegetation, vines and stuff that he cleared out to put it there, and did not grade to do it.
What's the, and somebody here could probably answer, what is the implication of the natural heritage area?
Where's the natural heritage area?
It's the whole,
Across the bottom.
right below the chicken coop.
Oh,
It goes up and
Including about half the chicken coop.
it's part of the pen, not the coop, but the
Yep.
part of the pen in there.
It's where you have endangered species or threatened, or
It's like a priority
whether it be,
habitat.
yeah, whether
Yeah,
it's
it's natural,
plants
it's
or
estimated or
animals
natural, an estimated priority habitat for rare species. In this area, where, does it go that way, or does it go towards Woodneck Beach?
Goes along the, down.
It looks like the
along-
steps, yeah.
Along that southern shore of the marsh, of Little Silverson Marsh. This is the edge of it here.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out what species they're trying to protect. It's not
I know they have-
plovers.
I know they have ox
It's
tortoises,
then-
because I've seen
Yeah.
them there.
Then it's the box
box
turtle.
turtle.
Then it's the box turtle. Plovers would be on the other side of the marsh where they're nesting, so.
Yeah, this isn't,
And
Plover
and if it was a
habitat at all.
plant, and if it was a plant, it would say priority habitat, so.
For right now, I'm fine. I asked the questions I had.
Betsy? Mary?
Need the data sheets.
Did you get my email?
Just got it today.
Deny.
There you go. I was
That's
seeing
not a
it
new
already.
This is-
requirement, I mean, it's like.
No, it's not a new
All of a
requirement.
sudden, nobody's turning them in.
And,
They-
and
we used
Tom,
to
it
get
just,
them
you just
know.
happened to be the one, like, tonight, where it was like, that straw, that just, it just, and it wasn't just you.
Had enough.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, send out another email.
I don't understand. For the last 2 or 3
3
months.
months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been
I
weird.
mean, you've always asked and said, well, hand them in, you know, you need to give them to me before,
Yeah,
you know, but for the last couple of months,
nobody's been doing it, it's not just you, Tom, so.
All right, Mary, you all set?
I'm also,
Okay, Jamie?
Just a quick methodology, you're only proposing one construction access, correct?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do walls 2 and 3 and work your way
First.
out?
That's what I.
Is it relevant?
Yeah,
don't
I know.
Just curious.
Well, it could be that the wall one could fail if they're driving just uphill of it.
There's a lot of room there.
Wait
There's
a minute,
there's
is
almost,
construction access is from Loop Road?
yeah,
Yes.
there's almost 20 feet,
I mean, I would think you'd wanna go the farthest point, work your way out.
yeah.
yeah.
And then if you, I mean, I don't know,
Well,
just.
we can-
You mean work your way down the slope and back out of the
No.
construction act?
No.
Okay, I see what you're saying,
Do
instead of
2 and
working
3.
this way.
3 and 2 and then
Start it
1.
the same way and go in.
Yeah.
Start at wall 2 and.
Or
Yeah.
3,
work-
yeah.
Work out.
I mean,
I
they
know
may
that-
end up doing that in that area. I mean, those walls are so close together over there, so that's what they may end up doing when Hamilton goes out there and
You said
says,
you're only talking about a week's worth of work, so maybe it's not, I was just asking.
On each one, I think wall 1, they said it'd take about a week, and then walls 2 and 3 together would take about a
Gotcha.
week. But they'll be sort of treated as separate projects, so they can get one in and done. So it's not a continuous, necessarily a continuous 2-week project in case there's fit something in some food weather.
Russ, I have one question.
We only have
Okay.
everybody here.
It's very quick.
You all set, Jamie?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
I just had one quick question that I wrote my other notes, I'm sorry. Where are you gonna stockpile all the rubble, or are you gonna take it out as it goes?
The rubble is just going right out to a truck in Loop Road.
Okay, and then if that's the case, then if it is stockpiled or material brought in that has to be used, because I saw that it's some kind of, I don't know what you call it, it's some special kind of stone, that if you do bring that in and it has to be stored, like driven in and dumped, that has to have some kind of
If it's
limit of
stored.
work around it.
Put a cloth under it. They were talking about just bringing it all in, like one Bobcat load at a time and dumping it in.
That's a long way to Tipperary, and that path is only 6 feet wide, so it's
Right,
not
well,
even
that's
like you're
right.
gonna run 2 machines or bring a dump truck in there.
it's fairly wide.
it's pretty wide.
Well, I'm looking, I just scaled it, it says 6 foot.
Well, I walk up and down it
Yeah.
all the time.
All right. From Loop Road? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's where I park.
Then they can maybe drive the dump truck in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't care how you do
Well,
it.
Courtney had talked with Hamilton about all of how they were gonna do it. They weren't intending to bring a truck in here, but it would save some trips, I know, if it was done that way.
I don't know why they would be coming in.
All right, anything else?
I move to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Second,
Yes, Mike, hang on.
No, what does the applicant propose to do about the chicken coop, or the shed?
The coop is,
The coop's okay, you got the, whatever you call it, the run, being a chicken.
so what's the question? About-
It was built within our jurisdiction.
And there's mitigation planning.
We have mitigation planning for the shed, the chicken coop, the shed part is,
The mitigation
there's
plan.
48 square feet, so there's mitigation proposed for that, 100 square feet of blueberry.
Maybe after the fact, it should be double. I mean, don't we do
We
that?
talked about that.
Yeah.
Did we do that? I don't think we put that in. Did we put that in, Jen?
what,
After the fact mitigation would be double?
in the regulations?
Yeah, we were gonna do that.
I don't remember seeing that in
No.
there, hearing
No,
it.
we discussed it when we did mitigation calculations.
It doesn't matter if it's in the regulations or not. If you want to do that, you can.
I guess the question,
Well, we can condition that.
well, the question before, that this was, I'm in the odd position that I am normally looking for ways to fix problems, not to move forward. That's the way I am. But we are also, we are here with an odd position in that what we do sets a precedent. We're moving forward. And I guess the obvious question to me is, why not move the chicken coop?
Well, I think the chicken coop, it's in an approvable location, at least the coop, the structure itself.
Right.
I mean, I'm not sure about the run, I mean, the run, or whatever you call it, the cage, I mean, it's not creating impervious surface. The coop itself is not in the A zone, and it's in a permittable location, and, you know, so we're proposing the mitigation planting for it.
I have a perception problem. That's the only problem I have. Because I think the mitigation is appropriate. Everybody makes mistakes from time to time, and we've done something about it. What separates good people from bad people is what they do. And I think this is appropriate, but I don't want anyone to think that we play favorites. Is everybody happy with where we are?
Well, we could
No, I
always just have
understand-
mitigation
I
plans.
understand exactly where you're
Yeah.
coming from, but one of the things that we have faced all through the years is going into a project, finding out somebody's done something that was permittable, and they want to do something else. And so then they have to, what they've done has to be wrapped into the project and mitigated for.
And we're all happy with it, that has happened in this instance.
Well, it didn't move any closer to the resource,
No.
the
Right.
house or any of the other any structures.
Am I happy? No, none of us are happy, but this is what it is. This is what came before us.
No, when I say
It's
happy, I mean,
satisfactory.
we're happy with the proposed solution, that's the question.
Yeah, I can live with this.
I'd like to double the mitigation, so.
I would too, and it's
Yeah,
easy
we
to
can
do.
that in the.
Yeah, we'll do that when we condition it.
Condition it.
Like Mike, if we made him plant, he still has to have his
Yeah,
path,
and-
but then
and-
double the mitigation in that little area.
When I went and looked at it, my first thought was to turn the run, but you can't. You could just rotate it so it ran in a
Yeah, but then you-
northwest, but then you're running into the bank. You
Going
can't,
into the
you're
fill and
going up the
everything
hill
else.
and you can't. So, I'm convinced that mitigation is the appropriate kind of measure, and the question is, are we playing,
Condition to have a silt sock on site, the limit of work stake, double the mitigation, put the V-zone on the plan, natives on the top of the wall. It's all stuff you would do.
And we can add instead of 100 square feet of mitigation, then it's 200, or something like
Okay.
that.
I'm good.
All right, so, did you make a motion or you?
Can I make a motion?
We already did.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor?
Yeah.
Okay, questions or comments from the commission? Comments, questions from the public? Okay, call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Abstentions, unanimous, so moved.
I move to adjourn. Second.
We have a motion to, and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.